From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I talked to the young Butte man who was severely injured in a motorcycle crash here and the many challenges he faces in his future.
Vice President Kamala Harris grabs a major endorsement. I'm Jared Hill with the latest in the 2024 race and what former President Trump is saying about a possible debate.
I'm Jonathan Amberian in Helena. As the National Democratic Party finalizes its procedure to pick a new presidential nominee to replace Joe Biden, I talked to some of the Montana delegates who will have a role in that process.
I'm MTN's Heaven Van here in Livingston, Montana for the annual Art Walk. Seeing how a small Montana community built what some say is the most expansive art community in the whole state.
Alrighty, it is 6 o'clock on this Friday morning. Jane McDonald, Matt Elwell with you bright and early. Sun just rose, but it's a little hard to see, at least over in the mining city.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of haze, smoke, or
We've
clouds.
got a decent amount of haze out there for the early part of the morning. In fact, our air quality has gone down a little bit. We're in the unhealthy for sensitive groups range in Butte. So we'll be watching it. It should get a little better here and there, but I think that we're kind of in this in the long haul until we get some of these fires taken out, not only here, but around the country. And back
West
in
Coast
Canada.
is on fire right now.
Temperatures this morning into the 40s and 50s, a little bit more comfortable early on. There are some outside chances, some pop-up showers and thunderstorms forming over some of the mountain regions across Gallatin-Madison range, back into southern Gallatin-Madison counties. We're watching these showers kind of fall apart pretty quickly in the evening, and that'll help keep things a little bit more in check with our temperatures. Highs into the 80s, a lot more cloud cover for the afternoon than what we'll see in the morning. I'm going to talk more about air quality and rain chances coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Now, lucky to be alive. MTN's John Amy went with a young Butte man who is recovering from serious injuries he sustained in a motorcycle crash earlier this month. And they also talked about the risks that motorcyclists face every day out on the road.
The motorcycle accident that occurred at this intersection in Butte left Stephen Bradford with a shattered femur and a future with possible multiple surgeries and at least a year of recovery time. And yet, the young man still considers himself very lucky.
I should have died and I didn't. I don't know how or why, but it's miraculous that I didn't.
The 28-year-old did not see the pickup truck he collided with at this intersection on Harrison Avenue. He does remember flying 30 feet and landing on the sidewalk. His leg shattered.
You know, I was worried about dying because that artery you have, I mean, any of your arteries, you only have a couple minutes to live if they're severed.
Fortunately, he did not sever an artery, but his left hand and his femur bone in his leg were broken. Stephen was awake the entire time, but his body was in shock.
Like my leg and my arm, they were just super, 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 super hot. It was weird. It felt like there's like lava running through me. Unless somebody touched me, then it was excruciating. It's one of those things where you wish you'd pass out because you don't want to feel.
The driver of the pickup involved in the crash was charged with a second offense DUI. Stephen holds no grudge against the driver, adding, riding a motorcycle comes with risks.
You have to accept is that at some point something can happen, whether it be in your control or out of your control, and you could die. And unfortunately, that's just the cost of riding a motorcycle, and we all accept it getting on. We all know the risk.
The risk has been high for riders this summer in Montana. Since the accident, 7 motorcyclists have died in crashes around the state, according to the Highway Patrol. Though Stephen survived, there was a good chance he could have lost his leg. He had 2 surgeries at St. Vincent's Hospital in Billings and has at least 1 more surgery in the coming weeks. He's been recovering at his father's home in Harrison.
It's a whirlwind, it's a shock. There's days where my head's spinning, but we couldn't be more grateful to God and the citizens of Butte and everybody who's helped us, St. James, St. V's.
Stephen said he loves riding his motorcycle, but he's not sure he's willing to get back on the bike once he recovers.
I'm I want to, but this is also an experience I don't really want to have again. I don't know how lucky I can get a second time.
In Harrison, John Amy, MTN News.
And an update that we told you earlier this week. Police are looking for these people believed to be from Billings, last seen at the lake house in Georgetown Lake in connection with the dangerous high-speed chase. On Sunday evening, officers say a Dodge Challenger led them on a chase, reaching speeds of 150 miles per hour. If you know these people, you're asked to contact Lieutenant Detective Staley with Anaconda Deer Lodge County Law Enforcement. And on the national scene, Vice President Kamala Harris is capping off her first week as a presidential candidate with a big endorsement from Barack and Michelle Obama. In a statement, the former president and First Lady said Harris, quote, has exactly what it takes to win this election and deliver for the American people. As the 2024 race heats up, Harris and former President Donald Trump are now sparring over when the two could face off on the debate stage. CBS News' Jared Hill has the latest from New York.
This is going to be historic.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you.
A major new endorsement for the likely Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris. Former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama saying in a statement they would do everything they can to elect Harris to the White House.
I am running to become President of the United States of America.
Thursday, the vice president accepted the endorsement of the nation's largest teachers union. Also yesterday, her first face-to-face with a world leader since entering the presidential race less than a week ago, pressing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for a Gaza deal.
It is time for this war to end.
Former President Donald Trump says he'll meet with Netanyahu in Mar-a-Lago later today. As Trump adjusts his focus from Biden to Harris, national polls show the two already running neck and neck just days into her candidacy.
She's bad news. She's a radical.
Harris says she's ready to debate Trump.
I think the voters deserve to see the split screen that exists in this race.
Earlier this week, Trump suggested he was open to more than one debate with Harris. Months ago, he said he'd debate Biden anytime, any place. But last night, the Trump campaign released a statement saying it would be inappropriate to finalize a debate before the Democrats formally decide their nominee. Harris hit back, tweeting, quote, "What happened to anytime, any place?" Jared Hill, CBS News.
And former President Trump told Fox News yesterday that he has no regrets choosing Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his running mate. It comes as Vance is under fire for comments made 3 years ago in which he referred to Harris and several other Democrats as, quote, childless cat ladies. Celebrities like Jennifer Aniston have pushed back on the comments, and so has second gentleman Doug Emhoff's ex-wife and children. Now, a little bit closer to home, the Democratic National Convention has formalized their plan for voting on a new presidential nominee, with national reports saying Vice President Kamala Harris appears to have enough support from delegates to win. MTN's senior political reporter Jonathan Amberian talked to some of Montana's delegates about their reaction to all that's happened over the last week.
The job of delegate to a political party's national convention doesn't always come with a lot of attention. But that changed for Montana's Democratic delegates when President Joe Biden announced he was ending his campaign for re-election.
You know, people are very interested in, it's a unique situation.
I did not sign up to be a part of a historic convention, but here we are.
Shaney Henry and James Revis were among about 25 pledged delegates selected at the Montana Democratic Party's convention in Havre last month. They were all initially committed to Biden, the winner of Montana's primary, but that changed once Biden dropped out of the presidential race, endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris to take over the nomination.
So now we are free as individual delegates to endorse who we choose.
The state party says the DNC outlined rules and policies for delegates on Wednesday. Since then, several Montana delegates have announced they're signing on to support Harris, including Revis and Henry.
I am grateful to President Biden and for his service, and his decision to step down was a personal one for him. At the same time, I am very excited about the energy that Vice President Kamala Harris has injected into the party. I can feel the enthusiasm.
While the nomination will be officially decided in a virtual roll call as early as next week, delegates will still be heading to Chicago later next month for the full work of the convention.
I think the energy will be tremendous. You know, I know that I am honored and excited to be a delegate and see the process. I've never been there in person before.
One prominent Montana Democrat, Senator John Tester, hasn't announced support for Harris or anyone else for that matter as presidential nominee. When Biden dropped out, Tester said he favored an open nomination process to determine the party's new nominee. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
And Livingston kicking off its second weekend of the Summer Art Walk. Our Heaven Van talks with some local artists and businesses involved in the annual event.
Livingston, Montana has a rich and complex history, a part of it being its expansive art community. And every year for nearly 35 years, the town has been putting on the Livingston Art Walk, giving local artists a chance to shine.
It's a big part of the story of shifting from a primarily railroad town to now what I know at one point the state referred to it as a creative cluster. In fact, they studied it because of that.
Laura Gray is owner of Frame Garden here in Livingston, one of the businesses hosting local artists and their creations for Art Walk. She invited emerging artist Allie Louise to show off her first solo series, Under a Western Sky, a collection of Montana-inspired animals and landscapes.
So I actually went to school for pre-med, and when COVID happened, I kind of started dabbling in art again.
Allie says that while pursuing her degree, she began to realize that she desired more creativity in her life. Laura tells me Allie is one of the only artists she's seen creating hyper-realistic photos using pastels.
One thing about pastels that has intrigued me is obviously you can accomplish like a photorealistic style with them, which a lot of people don't do with pastel.
Downtown tourism director Chris King says that the arts have always allowed people to express their interpretation of the landscape before them.
That the power of the arts is to tell the contemporary story of people living here now, what they're experiencing, and that is all on the underpinning and the foundation of the history of the area.
And to all aspiring artists, Allie says,
just take the leap of faith. I know that sounds like so cliche, but it's so true because I honestly wouldn't be here with this show had I not done that to begin with. So
the Livingston Art Walk starts tomorrow. Visit our website for more info. In Livingston, Heaven Van, MTN News.
I mean, Matt, when she said that those horse pieces behind her were oil and pastel
Right?
based, I almost didn't believe it. I thought they were photographs.
They do look like photographs.
They were
Pretty amazing talent.
Really incredible. Now, before we head into a break, I mean, we've been talking about it all summer long, you know, staying safe out in the heat, sunscreen, hats, sun shirts, all that type of stuff. But it's not just humans
Yeah.
that have to watch out for that sun exposure. Even some of the largest mammals have to be careful. This is Felix. This is the Melbourne Zoo's one and only Pygmy hippopotamus.
What a cutie.
And he is enjoying quite the lovely spa day. And of course that includes an oil hoof pedicure, a hippopoto massage.
Hippopotamus-sage.
Yeah, and a lot more. I mean, and this is kind of fun to watch, but it's also for a good reason too, because their skin just can crack and kind of get damaged.
It gets
in the
very
sun.
dry if they're not taken care of. That's right.
So look at that. Felix getting a little shellac done on his little hooves, making sure his nails look beautiful in case maybe there's another pygmy hippo coming in. You got to look your best at all times.
Get a little spritz and a wash.
Absolutely. It's like a car wash. Look at that.
Exfoliate.
I think so. I just think that's the funniest thing I've seen. All right.
Good stuff.
Quick break coming on in Montana this morning. Now we know a lot of students getting ready for the start of the school year, but a lot of recent graduates also worried about their next steps in the future.
There are plenty of jobs out there, but why can't recent college graduates actually get hired? We're talking with experts about the do's and don'ts of landing a job and how to stand out in a competitive marketplace, especially with evolving technology and AI straight ahead.